today's video, I'll cover 10 toxic things that parents should never say to their children. Hi, this is SALIMAH of SALIMAHhaji.com, and if you're looking to build a life in alignment with your soul, you're in the right place. So I wanted to make this video because we often say things to our kids, and I have a lot of compassion for the parents because we mean the best for our kids, but sometimes in the moment of anger, moment of reaction, we end up saying things to the children that are really not good for them, and we are not even aware that we are doing that. And perhaps it's something that we ourselves were told when we were little, because everything becomes your beliefs and your programming, and it's part of who you are. Things that you experience in your childhood become part of you, and they are always running in the background as programming in your subconscious, unconscious mind. So I wanted to bring your attention to these 10 things that perhaps you've said to your children that's not good for them. So number one is, you look terrible. You look like a freak. That's not something we should be saying to our children. Even if we don't like what they're wearing, if we don't like what their hair looks like, we can choose better words, because words have energy and they affect the person receiving those words. So be aware of what you're saying and be impeccable with your words and choose other words. And if you're asked for your opinion, of course, be honest and tell them that I personally don't like the color that you're wearing or the hair color, but if you like it, then that's all that matters, because it's important that the child chooses to express themselves, fully express themselves, and are happy with the way they look. That's the most important thing. Nobody's action should be as a result of how somebody else feels about it. As long as you're not harming anybody else, it's your hair. If you want it to be pink, then that's what it is. You can give your opinion that you don't like it, but again, you look terrible, you look freaky. Those are not the words to use, because again, words have energy. The next one is, I never wanted you. Nobody wants to hear that ever. Whether you plan to have that child or not, the child is here. The child is always a blessing. They don't belong to you, first of all. They've come through you, but they're not yours. Your creator created that child, and that child needed to come through you. So have the gratitude and express gratitude that you were chosen to birth that child, and never say to them that I never wanted you. That nobody wants to hear that. And if you have said that in the past, then apologize, because that's not something that should ever be said to your children. The next one, I'm going to send you to the boarding school because you're not listening to me. That's a threat, and we should never be using threats with our children. Nobody wants to hear that. That's very terrifying for the child, that would now start thinking that, okay, if I do something wrong, then I'll be sent away forever from my family. And that's not a good way to punish your child. It's better that you have a conversation with your child and you express how you feel and how their actions have impact on everybody else. So take some time and have a discussion with them instead of using threats. The next one is, I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. That's one of the biggest wounds that people go through, abandonment, and you never want to use that with your children, because the consequences are so huge that they're so scared to express themselves, do anything around you. They feel like they have to walk on shells because you'll leave, on eggshells, because they're scared to express themselves, and nobody should have to live like that. You should have open, honest communication with them. Children should be heard, understood, seen, and accepted, and that's how they should be raised. Kids are a blessing, so treat them well. The next one is, do what I say or else. Again, that's a threat. It's, of course, when the children are younger, you want to keep them safe. Of course, you're going to have some rules for them, and that's fine. But as they get older, you have to trust that you've raised them properly and that they will make the right choices. There's no need to threaten them, because what happens when you're not there to threaten? And what happens if that's what they think is normal, that they attract relationships that is the same way when they're adults, and you don't want them to be in relationships like that where they're threatened and don't feel safe. The next one is, you are terrible at this. Nobody wants to hear that either. If they're making the best effort and whatever they're doing is reflection of their best effort, then you should never judge them and say you're terrible at this. You should encourage, support them, and acknowledge that they have put in the effort. And as long as they believe that they've put their best effort, then that's all they can do. That's what they're capable of doing. But you should never be judged and say that you're terrible at this. That's something that they have to come to a conclusion that I don't enjoy this and I don't want to play this sport, for example. But not that you're terrible at it. That's a judgment that we shouldn't be using to express to our children. The next one, you are the worst student. Again, if they put in the effort and they are only capable of getting a C, then so be it. Grades, as I've said previously, do not reflect how bright and smart somebody is, because what schools measure is not all geniuses. Some kids are geniuses in other areas which the schools do not value. Science, math is what they value. Some of the arts are not valued, but your child might be genius in something else. They're here for a purpose. So that's what their strength is. That's what their unique gifts are. The next one is, I do not have time for you. Fine, okay, you were busy at the moment, but you can book a time with them and say, let's spend time today at 4 o'clock, or let's spend time. When you say I don't have time for you, meaning you're not important to me, that's not a message that you want to send your child. You want to make them feel heard, understood, seen, and accepted. The next one, I wish you were more like your sibling. I wish you were more like your friend. Again, children should never be compared. They're here for their own path, their own purpose, and you want to, in fact, teach them not to compare themselves to others. They're unique and they're here and they have their own strength. So learn to celebrate their own strength instead of comparing them to others. The next one is, what are people going to say? It doesn't matter what people are going to say. In fact, that's a reflection of your own ego, because you're worried about people. Doesn't matter what people say. This is not people's life. This is your child's life. If your child is happy, then that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what other people say. They don't have the right to judge anybody else. If your child is happy, they're on their own path, they're fulfilling their purpose, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. So those are the 10 things, toxic things that every parent should stop saying to their children. Number 1, you look terrible. Number 2, I never wanted you. Number 3, I'm going to send you to boarding school because you're behaving this way. Number 4, I am leaving and never coming back. Next one, do what I say or as. The next one, you're terrible at this. The next one, you are the worst student. The next one, I don't have time for you. The next one, I wish you were more like your sibling, more like your friend, more like so and so. And the last one is, what are people going to say? So those are the 10 toxic things you should remove from your vocabulary when you're talking to your children. Hope this video served you. Please share it with anybody else who needs to hear this message. Remember, sharing is caring. I love you, I believe in you, and thank you for watching.